I promised that next time I'll speak more on the subject of this hadith, because I didn't have the actual words before me. I was only telling you from my memory. Now I have got the actual text of the hadith, and I'm going to prove from the very text that this could not have been a statement of Hadhrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And it has to be Israeliyat, which found their way into Islam, and some Jewish Muslims or ex-Jewish hypocrites introduced this somehow, in the line of narration, so that people would begin to believe it as the word of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It is a Jewish custom to cast blemishes and attribute defects to all their prophets. This is what they have been doing throughout their history. So the one prophet was left out from them, they started doing it to Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and through him supported their own distorted views of prophethood. This is an example for that.
Yes. But with permission of Hadur, there is a question now. This hadith is in Bukhari.
Yes, right.
That means, and the top of authentic books, Bukhari, there might be a hadith.
This is what I'm saying.
Yes.
This is exactly what I said earlier.
Yes.
That Hadhrat Masih Maud, when he debated certain issues with the ulama, they kept on insisting, is it Sahih or not Sahih? They wanted an answer in yes or no. As Masih Maud explained that, you see, technically it is Sahih because it fulfills the conditions of the hadith which is termed as Sahih. But the contents of some hadith prove themselves that this hadith could not be the word of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
Okay. I repeat this
That's
for a minute.
Now I'll quote this hadith from Bukhari, Kitabul Anbiya, Bab Qawlullah Ta'ala Wattakhazallahu Ibrahim Khalila. Under this title, Imam Bukhari. Note the wordings. The words are telltale right from the beginning. They speak that this could not be the word of Hadhrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And of course, it will reach Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam through Abu Huraira. As I told you earlier, he is the most convenient person to quote by those people who concoct hadith. حدثنا محمد بن محبوب حدثنا حماد بن زيد عن أيوب عن محمد عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه لم يكذب إبراهيم عليه السلام إلا ثلاثة كذبات ثنتين منهن في ذات الله.
لم يكذب إلا ثلاثة. That means he support.
سنتين منهن في ذات الله عز وجل. And the قوله إني سقيم. How could it be في ذات الله تعالى? First of all, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, if he says that a prophet, a great prophet, Abul Anbiya, one of the greatest, who is called Siddiq in the Holy Quran, he spoke 3 lies out of 2 he spoke on Allah. What authenticity and validity would be left to all the statements of the prophets? Unbelievable. It should be rejected outhand. Impossible for Hadhrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to have said that he spoke 2 lies against Allah, attributing to Allah. One is قوله إني سقيم وقوله بل فعله كبيرهم هذا. And then it says وقال بينه وذات يوم وسارت إذا أتى على جبار من الجبابرة فقيل له إن ها هنا رجلا معه امرأة من أحسن الناس فأرسل إليه فسأله عنها فقال من هذه؟ قال أختي. فأتى سارة قال يا سارة ليس على وجه الأرض مؤمن غيري وغيرك وأن هذا سألني فأخبرته أنك أختي فلا تكذبيني. He could say kazib on Allah, But Sarah should not say kadhib on him. But now I come to criticize this. First of all, was there not Hadhrat Lut who had believed in Hadhrat Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam? How could Ibrahim, this is the fourth lie then. You see, how could he say, there is no believer in me except you and I am myself, so there are two believers in the world, in the whole earth. While there were many who had believed in Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, many who had believed in Hazrat Lut, his family at least had believed in him, except his wife. So whether he was married or not, it is irrelevant. Hazrat Lut was alive and grown up at the time of this incident. Moreover, people forget to remember that the age of that lady at that time was beyond 60. This was a beautiful girl of 60-year-old for whom the king fell. What sort of king that was? And it was reported that what a beautiful girl has appeared. None is seen like that in the whole world. Obviously, this is the word of somebody who is concocting stories, a storyteller who forgets that according to the Bible itself, which reports these things, according to the Bible itself, Hazrat Ibrahim's wife, about that time, was around 60 years old. And because soon after, when he married Sarah, soon after, according to the Quran, after that a son was born from Sarah. But I'm talking of the Bible. According to the Bible, a son was born to Hadhrat
Ibrahim.
No, I'm sorry, not Sarah. I'm talking of Hajra. I'm sorry. Sarah is the first wife.
Yes.
This is what we were talking about.
Yes.
According to the Holy Quran, the first son born to Hadhrat Ibrahim was through Sarah, through Hajra, not through Sarah. Ismail was the first born.
That's why she became jealous.
That's right. And according to the Bible, the story is taken from the Bible. According to the Bible, Hazrat Sarah had already given birth to a son. When after that, a son was also born to Hazrat Ibrahim through Sarah. Not through Hajra. Correct? According to the Bible, Hazrat Ishaq was the first one and Hazrat Ismail was the second one. And the age at the time of the blessings from the angels, when the angels appeared and told Sarah that she would also bear a child, she slapped her face and said, Ajuzun Aqim, will a son be born to me when I'm an old lady of advanced age? And also I'm infertile, you know, I'm sterile, I can't bear children anyway. This was the lady who reached the court of that great king. And people thought, what a beautiful girl has appeared. And the king suddenly fell in love with her. To save her from king's designs, Hadhrat Ibrahim had to tell this lie. And when he tells this lie, he also tells another lie, that there is no believer except you and I. But he knew full well that Hazrat Lut, at least, if none other, he was a believer in him, and he was also a woman. So the whole hadith, can it be attributed to Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam?
By lying and saying that she is my sister, what is the...
No, another thing.
Yes.
If you admit, give some credence to this, if at all, the only credence can be given that she was a cousin of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, and sometimes cousins are referred to as sisters or brothers, like uncles are referred to as fathers. So the Holy Quran has referred to the father of Hadhrat Ibrahim, and many commentators debate the issue and say actually he was his uncle, not his father. So if that was the custom in those days particularly, then it was not a lie anyway. From one aspect, it was the cousin. But more than that, this is rejectable anyway, because if he wanted to save her from the corrupt intentions of the king, he should have said, "It is my wife." Then the matter should have ended. If he presents her as an unmarried sister, then of course she is open and free for anybody. So everything about this hadith is distorted and could not be attributed to Hadhrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, about him whom the Holy Quran says, La iwaja lahu. So nothing distorted about him. Right?
Yes.
It is fi zat ilahi batila. Not fi zat Allah ta'ala. But there are two things which are right because they are stated in the Holy Quran, but not as lies. The Holy Quran never says that these two incidents reported in this hadith are lies of Ibrahim. So these two central things must be taken up separately, because they are also mentioned in Israeliyat, but the central point of these two things is mentioned in the Holy Quran, so it has to be accepted as truth, not as lies. I'll explain how it is truth and not lies. First of all, about Saqim. You know, according to the Quran, he went on discussing the matter with them for hours upon hours. And at one incident, according to the Quran, the sun set and then it rose again, and they were still involved in a great discussion. So for a man to fall ill, or at least sick, as Saqim means, is not a strange thing at all. Why must we take it as a falsehood? The Holy Quran says, he said, I am Saqim, and never says that he told a lie. It should be taken at his face value. Or alternatively, we can translate scheme as in English they say, I am sick, I am fed up, I am tired of you people. You don't understand. You have made me sick. So this is also something which is quite understandable. No sane man on earth can call it a lie. And Hadhrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was the sanest man on earth ever born before or who will ever be born after. To attribute this verse of the Holy Quran to Rasulullah Sallam, and for him to declare that the Holy Quran had these lies, has told us these lies of Abraham alayhi salam without warning us that they were lies. You see, another complication. Secondly, the second part also about Kabiruhum Haza, Bal Fa'ala Kabiruhum Haza. This also is most certainly not a lie. I can prove to the whole world, and I can accept any challenge on this issue. This was a beautiful style of Abraham's arguments. You know, while talking to children sometimes, you say, what is this? You know, all right, this is my head, eat it up, you know, that sort of thing. When you say that to children, it's an expression of being fed up. It is not an intention to make a boy actually believe that this is really head and he should eat it up. It's a metaphor, an expression, which means that to bring home the absurdity of a situation, sometimes you make a statement which is not correct, but they know it is not correct. The intention is not to make people believe a falsehood. Here, in this statement, I am going to explain it further to prove It was a most beautiful piece of oratory on the part of Abraham, and on the piece of logical discussion and rational discussion how he used to defeat enemies. And that is why the Holy Quran has also paid him a great tribute about his art of debates. This is one of the most beautiful examples of that. First of all, remember that he could not have told a lie regarding this with no intention whatsoever, because he himself had told them, I am going to do something to your aliyah. The Holy Quran says that a few verses. What sort of lie that was then? He himself had already told them, warned them. I am going to do something to these. And when they returned, when he said, Bal fa'alahu, first of all, where to stop and where to, up to what point in this verse to continue without stopping, that is another issue which is a very important issue. I read it like this, Bal fa'alahu. Somebody did it. Kabiruhum haza, this is the eldest of them, ask him. So if you read it with this slight pause here instead of there, the whole problem is solved. There is no lie involved anyway. So why don't you treat the Holy Quran with respect and try to interpret it in a manner that is worthy of the Holy Quran's grace and dignity? So that is why in all Ahmadi translations you will read it like this. Yes, but somebody has done it. Ba'al fa'alahu. Kabirum hadha fas'al ho. You kya hai alfaz ho pade? Fasaluhu. Fasaluhu. No, fasal not fasal ho. It's another very important point I am going to explain. Kabirum hadha fas'aluhum in kanu yantiqun. If he had said fas'al ho, even then a slight shadow of possibility could lie that he means that everybody else is broken but he is whole, so he has done it and ask him. You see, he doesn't say that. He said Kabiruhum hadha, but ask these broken pieces. How could he give himself a lie himself and draw the attention to the absurdity of the situation, that he himself has broken them, and says, somebody has broken, ask these dead things. Why not ask this living thing as if it was a living thing? So the style of the Holy Quran is very profound. One should understand what it means, and then it becomes a great tribute to the exceptional wisdom of Hadhrat Ibrahim and his bravery. He stood there waiting. He was not afraid of them. He had already told them that I am going to do it. When they reached him and inquired from him who had done it and why, the answer was to bring home the absurdity of their beliefs. This was the best way to do it.
Excuse me, Hadur, I'm just slightly confused. فَاسْأَلُوهُمْ. This refers to the small pieces.
Yes, that's right. Yes. Broken pieces of except for one big one, all the statues were broken to pieces by Hadhrat Ibrahim alayhi salam.
No, except one.
Except one.
Yes.
So instead of saying, ask him, he has done it, ask him. He says, ask them. You know why?
Yeah.
When I explain, then you will understand the profound message of this verse. These mullahs do not know what the Quran is. If they know, they must have fallen in love with this book. They wouldn't attribute these absurdities to the Holy Quran. First translate and then I'll come and explain. Now I'll explain further. You see, the Holy Quran speaks of their excuses for worshipping idols which they made themselves. What they believed was that the idol they made of stones and wood, etc., was not God itself. They said it represents a God somewhere in the heaven. So they could be broken, but those gods, if they lived, they could not be broken. They could not be killed. So it was not illogical of him. It was to prove to them that neither they matter nor those behind them they matter anything. Nor this big one matters. Because whoever did it, he did it in the presence of this one. And he is not afraid of his telling you. It's a great argument. Absolutely non-plussing them. There is in every word there is a reason and wisdom, deep wisdom. He was left alone, not to prove that he must have killed. He knew they wouldn't believe, and what was the purpose of all this game? He wanted to prove the unity of Allah. That is what he stood for. So he left him alone to prove, number one, whoever has done it, he was not afraid in the least of the biggest of your so-called gods. Right? He was there, he was watching. And if you say it is not they who can watch, but there are things behind, then somebody has broken them. Ask the gods whom they represented. They saw with their own eyes the insult to their images, and they couldn't move a finger. Now, mullahs do not understand the message, but the enemies of Ibrahim did, according to the Quran. That is what he wanted. You see, they were turned down in their heads, That is the means they were completely astounded and left wordless. فَرَجَعُوا إِلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ فَقَالُوا إِنَّكُمْ أَنْتُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ. If it was an attempted lie, would they say this? Don't they have a grain of grey cell in their heads, these people who interpret it like this? As I told you, the enemies understood, and also understood the folly of their practices. So they got together and they talked of this and said, the truth is that you are the transgressors, not this man. They understood the message, and it was a very powerful argument against their idol worship. ثُمَّ نُكِسُوا عَلَىٰ رُؤُوسِهِمْ. And then they conspired against him. Nukisu ala Rusim, they turned back to their leaders. Raus, also Rais, the plural of Rais is Raus, yeah. Not just the heads.
Yes, yes.
So then they turned to them and conspired and took counsel from them. And they said, the argument is, this is the argument you should present. Take it on his word. And don't let him know that you have understood the message. Although God, the Holy Quran says they had understood. But suppose they were lying then, not Ibrahim. They said, we accept your word, but لَقَدْ أَلِمْتَ مَا هَؤُلَاءِ يَنْتِقُونَ. How can we ask them? Because they do not speak. Then came the final blow. أَتَعْبُدُونَ قَالَ أَتَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ مَا لَا يَنْفَعُكُمْ شَيْئٌ وَلَا يُضُرُّكُمْ. They can neither give you any benefit nor can cause you any damage. Are these things you believe other than God? So what a beautiful argument and so powerful argument. That is why Hadhrat Ibrahim is paid the tribute in the Holy Quran that this style of argumentation was taught to him by God himself. So if it were a lie, or if these were lies, then according to these mullahs, it was God who taught Abraham how to tell lies. You see? No, I know. मुस्तकीम वाली आयत कहाँ है? वो पहले है, उसके साथ नहीं है ये, उधर वो यंतकून वाली में है. Right. Now here the Holy Quran says about the debates of Hadhrat Ibrahim alayhi salam he carried with his opponents. the Holy Quran pays him this tribute. وَتِلْكَ حُجَّتُنَا آتَيْنَاهَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ عَلَى قَوْمِهِ نَرْفَعُ دَرَجَاتٍ مَنْ نَشَاءُ إِنَّ رَبَّكَ حَكِيمٌ عَلِيمٌ. All the arguments which Abraham presented, it were we who taught him. And they were overwhelming arguments, which left his opponents nonplussed. So if this argument and that argument of Sakim and this and that were lies, then Allah takes the responsibility on his own shoulders. We did it, don't say anything bad about Abraham. We know how to teach lies, that sort of thing.
Please, thank you.
Now the definition of falsehood or lie. It is very important that we define falsehood clearly and then apply the definition here, and that definition should apply everywhere equally. According to me, the definition is falsehood is to make a statement to deceive others with the intention to deceive others and lead them to untruth or a lie, and in a manner that the person also hopes that the person will also be misled. If one knows that nobody can be misled, then that is not he cannot lie. There is always a secret hope in the heart of somebody who lies for a purpose, that when I try to deceive with this, that and with that, covering things in my oratory, the people will believe. Now this definition cannot apply to the situation we are discussing. First of all, Hadhrat Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam could only do it to save his skin from the enemies, for the fear of saving his life. But here, according to the Quran, he himself is the person who was announcing it to the people, telling them, I am going to do it. Where is the lie? What is the purpose? Read the Quran. According to the Quran, Abraham said this: وَتَاللَّهِ لَأَكِيدَنَّ أَصْنَامَكُمْ بَعْدَ أَن تُوَلُّوا مُدْبِرِينَ. By God, I am going to do this to you. فَجَعَلَهُمْ جُزَازًا إِلَّا كَبِيرًا لَهُمْ لَعَلَّهُمْ إِلَيْهِ يَرْجِعُونَ. قَالُوا, then when it happened, مَنْ فَعَلَ هَذَا بِآلِهَتِنَا إِنَّهُ لَمِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. Whoever did it to our God, he must be a transgressor. The people answered, the leaders inquired, Samena Fatan Yazkuruhum Yuqalu lahu Ibrahim. We know the man, he used to talk about it, and he didn't hide anything about it. Qalu fatu bihi ala ayun an-nas la'allahum yashhadun. Bring him before the people. And when he is brought before the people, ultimately with an intention to punish him, it doesn't deny that at all, in any manner. This is what we think is a lie. They must be the maddest people who consider this to be a lie, because according to the definition of lies, the intention must be to deceive others, to seek shelter in a falsehood for some ulterior motive. Here there is no element whatsoever which could in any way lead Hadhrat Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam to make even an attempt to escape. He was there obviously before them, opposing them throughout, and telling them what I am going to do. How could it be lie? Have you ever seen such a liar? This is Asdaqun Nas. The purpose was not to deceive, but to lead them to one God, which is truth. Right? Now another thing which should be noted is that in every language, this is a common style, and it's considered a beauty of the language, where literally wrong things are said, but people with understanding common sense understand them. And this is not called a lie. This is called oratory. You know, the figure of speech. And the Holy Quran has used it extensively. We in ordinary day life, we do it so many times. When our train is reaching the city, we say the city has come. Well, city has not come. We have come to the city. So these are figures. If a mullah says, you see, you are telling a lie. City is still there. You are moving towards it. How could city have come? So if you take things too literally, you know, you don't understand the figure of speech, then every language will be completely distorted. The Holy Quran tells us, Hunna libasu, antum libasul lahunna wa hunna libasul lakum. Your women are your libas. This is libas. And you are their libas. Is it a misstatement? Nauz billah min zalik? Literally, libas means this.
Yes, yes.
And janahazul waqfid janahaka liman ittaba'aka min al-mu'minin. Hadhrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is told to lower his wing alal mu'minin. Where was the wing of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? But this style of the Quran is a great oratory. The imagery which is born in one's mind is that of a bird taking care of her fledgling. Too small, cannot survive by themselves. So when she returns, or if there is bad weather and lightning and, you know, everything in the air is threatening, the mother bird lowers her wings and takes all the threats to herself, but covers them. In a short word, Holy Quran has said so much. Keep them under your cover. As long as you protect them like a mother bird, they are safe. Nothing would come, bad would come to them. No harm would come to them. But if a mullah reads it, he would say, and if he realizes what he is reading, thank God he doesn't realize much of what he reads. He said, Janah, where is the Janah of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? He had no Janah. So these are oratories, figures of speech. They should be understood accordingly.
With permission of Hadur, in the light of what you have said now, if we consider قال بل فعله كبيرهم هذا, complete sentence like this, it is also correct.
I know. I've said that before.
In the light of this,
exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
In Mauritius and in other places, I have also taken up this position.
Yes.
I said, even if, no, I said, for those who are too technical, my suggestion was make a stop in between and you will be all right. But even if you don't make a stop, and I prefer not to make a stop myself, it becomes a very powerful argument. Bal fa'alahu kabiruhum hadha. Everybody would know that it's impossible.
Yes.
The very absurdity of the situation would reach home, would be driven home with such power,
yes,
that they'll be left defenseless. So I agree, I have done it before, but I was telling you in some translation of the Holy Quran by Ahmadiyya Jamaat, this is done because this is an argument which ordinarily people don't understand.
No.
You see?
Okay.
Thank you for reminding me, this is true.
Hadur mentioned that he will show that this hadith, if we look to it from some other point.
This is the angle which I have already mentioned.
Yes, okay.
That the two things which are reported to be falsehood, when you because that central point is mentioned in the Quran, so it has to be taken as truth. That the Holy Quran says, so how can we say this is Israeliyat? It can also be found in Israeliyat, but when the Holy Quran supports it, it has to be taken.
No.
But when you take it, then you understand it.
Yes.
When you understand it, then you find extreme beauty
Yes.
of a truthful prophet who knows how to tell the truth in the most beautiful way.
Yes.
So the truth emerges victorious and the falsehood is destroyed. What they say, the mullahs, is the opposite. In the attempt to destroy falsehood, Abraham destroyed truth.
But,
We can't accept
in
it.
any way, the hadith is not.
The hadith as a whole,
Yes.
it has to be wrong because
Yes.
about these two words, he spoke lies on Allah. How can Muhammad Sallallahu said it? You know, it's not true. See, only in one way, I have said before, that this hadith could be taken, not all the words, of course, to be a word of Muhammad Sallallahu, but that would be exactly in the style of Hadhrat Ibrahim. He would be saying, if they say he lied, he told lies, but if these three are the lies, you know, then this is not a lie worthy of condemnation. It's a beauty of Abraham, you know, which comes home. So only in this sense I accept sometimes. You know, I said maybe
Yes.
if he was using the style of Ibrahim alayhi salam himself, by kazeba he means inverted commas.
Yes, yes.